Hey everybody, Marc Gaudet here with ToughMonkey.ca and the Tough Monkey Nation podcast, where I like to highlight the many incredible benefits of martial arts fitness training and other complementary topics that help optimize the lives of busy professionals, parents, and corporations. And I gotta say, I'm pretty excited to introduce my guest today. I'm speaking with Amani Saleh. She is an empowerment and development expert focusing on gender and women's issues. She has a diploma in professional development from the American University in Cairo, where she gained a solid foundation in social research and gender issues. Originally from Egypt, Amani has over 20 years of experience in community service work and possesses a wealth of insight into developing and training organizations like Save the Children International, the World Health Organization, and the United States Agency for International Development. She's also led different programs in the health and education sectors for marginalized communities. One of the most amazing things about Amani that I find is her experience as a certified empowerment trainer for the Imagine Institute, a global initiative for the empowerment of women. This organization helps women identify and transform their limiting beliefs when starting something new and adopting actionable growth strategies to attain their goals. And with that, welcome to the show, Amani. I'm very excited to have our another conversation with you. We've been chatting quite a bit about empowerment and confidence and martial arts and how that all relates. And I am extremely impressed with your background and the things I continue to learn about you and your incredible experiences. So
Thank you
welcome.
so much. Oh, thank you so much. It's nice to hear, how people see you or describe you. So thank you so much, Mark. It's been really nice, since we met during our program that we studied together. So I'm really happy, seeing you start your own business, focusing on the area where you have your most passionate. Wish you all the best of luck, and I'm really happy to be here today for just a casual conversation.
Yeah, that's all I'm hoping this podcast develops into, and being able to talk with interesting people like you, and maybe some of the viewers may be interested. Amani and I met while studying emergency management, and so she also has that in her background too. So yeah, let's dive right into it. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I know you mentioned you have a little bit of a background in martial arts yourself and did some karate when you were younger, and not just a little bit of karate. I think you're very humble. I like that about you too. But maybe you could share a little bit about your experience in martial arts, and I guess how you found that helped you, because Amani and I have had several. Yeah, go ahead.
I was really young at the time. I played martial arts when I was at the age of maybe 13 to 16. We moved out of Egypt to go live in the States for 5 years with my dad, because my dad was relocated at the time due to the nature of his work. And so we're 4 children in the house. I am number 2. The older is only 2 years older than I am, and he's a boy. And the younger one, there is only 1 year difference between us. So he's younger, so I was in the middle. My sister there is a 10-year difference between us. So for 10 years, I was in between 2 boys. And, the way boys play is different than how girls play. So I used to always be in the middle. So it was my mom and dad's idea, to start playing karate or martial arts with my brothers as well. And it was amazing. I mean, in so many ways, as an only girl between 2 boys at the time, it helped me, gain more confidence, to face them. It gave me strength at the time, and it contributed in an increase in self-esteem and confidence for me. This is what I remember about it. I still, it was only for 3 years, and then
Only.
yeah, it was only for 3 years.
Yeah.
I didn't progress that much in it, but I can still remember up until now. I'm 53 right now, so that was a long time ago. But I can still remember the kind of confidence it gave me. I still sometimes, practice some of the moves with my son. I have a 27-year-old son who's big and really, fit, and he plays, he has his own kind of martial arts that he plays. He loves ninjutsu and the very aggressive kind of martial arts. So sometimes we get into, we joke around, we play around, and he puts his arms around me, and it's my, my role to set myself free. So martial arts, it contributes a lot in the health and wellness of a person, I believe, and as a woman in specific as well.
Well, absolutely. And one of the things that I've been learning more about you and your incredible family, and hopefully I hope to have many more conversations in regards to this, and to be able to work together with you as an empowerment trainer. I'm sure I could probably learn some things from you too. But I understand your sister is also in that field, and you have a brother who is a psychiatrist and working directly in mental health. And that's one of the things that the more I learn about you, the more amazing you become, or incredibly interesting, in that there's so many of these issues in, all over the world, but especially, in North America, and the mental health crisis, anxiety, depression, stress levels are through the roof. And, people are suffering from burnout, and, just the pandemic, I think, really highlighted a lot of issues, or maybe even accelerated a lot of these issues. People being isolated at home, not able to see their families, and a lot of associated health issues around that whole situation. I'm not going to dive into. Incredibly emotional, but yeah, I mean, the skills and things that you and your family can help other people, not necessarily just women, but especially women. I think that's amazing, and I look forward to being able to hopefully work more with you guys, and especially yourself. But maybe you could share a little bit of your experience from a mental health standpoint. In obviously, martial arts can help benefit from a self-confidence and self-esteem aspect of things, and also from the mental health standpoint too, in helping to reduce stress. But I'm actually curious, and I have some thoughts on it too, but why do you think martial arts helps with self-confidence and empowering people? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it, and I can share some of my own, but you have a different perspective on it. Why do you think martial arts helps in that way?
Well, listen, I'm gonna speak about, martial arts from the point of view of women, and the kind of daily challenges and issues that women face. Well, first of all, martial arts is an excellent way for women, to increase their physical strength and overall confidence. The training and exercise involved in martial arts, it helps, to build, it improves fitness, it helps to build, physical strength. It makes women more physically capable and less vulnerable to things like physical assault, for instance. So mentally, when we speak about mentally, martial arts can, provide women with an empowering sense of self-discipline and control. So it also helps women to develop more effective communication and conflict resolution skills. I think martial arts teaches you specific skills that helps you to like control yourself, relax, think, in challenging situations. So I think it contributes a lot in the improvement of mental health. It teaches you the necessary skills, that you can use in difficult situations. I've met a lot of newcomer women that came here, and especially during, the pandemic, and they were just isolated. It's not just women, but full families. And they were just isolated with their children, because of COVID. And this has terribly affected their mental health and their children's as well, because children, are not easy to keep at home during, the lockdown it was. So it was important for people to know what kind of resources that are out there for them. I always, I always advise people to ask, and not shy out about asking for help when it comes, to things that would affect their mental health.
Well, that's one of the other interesting things that people don't know about you. Manny is also a newcomer specialist and works with a lot of immigrants to Canada. And she's also a professional translator and works in the health field in helping immigrants as well who may be struggling to try to get their message across when, speaking with health professionals. But I want to go back to one of the things, you mentioned this to me before, and I think it ties into what I'm doing with ToughMonkey, because obviously this method of teaching martial arts virtually and online, remotely, in the comfort of your own home, it's very different from the traditional martial arts sense, right? And how it's traditionally delivered. But one thing you mentioned to me that I found very interesting is in that, and it relates to the empowerment and confidence aspect of things, and that is you have boatloads of it, whether you realize it or not, and I think that's amazing. And 3 years is not a short period of time to play martial arts, as you say. It's a good length of time, and I congratulate you for doing it for that long. And
no, I only got 3 belts at the time.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
And I still had like 6 more.
Well, one of the things you mentioned to me is that, one of the components of martial arts, and something that I've had to modify with how I deliver the programs with ToughMonkey, is sparring. Sparring is a component of most martial arts, whether it's grappling or, the striking arts. And obviously, we can verbally spar at the moment, but there's no contact to be made. So from an injury standpoint, well, you can't injure me, and I can't injure you. I mean, words do hurt sometimes, and that's true. But you mentioned when you were doing martial arts, you were still able to develop the confidence that you have, obviously, and especially to be able to speak in front of groups. That's another thing, dynamic public speaking. There's so many interesting things about you, but you have incredible confidence, and you're able to develop that in martial arts without sparring. Or you did do some, but there was no contact with what you learned, and I find that incredibly amazing. So one of the things, I guess, from my perspective, from a martial arts standpoint, and how it helps with building confidence and self-esteem and really empowers people, you kind of touched upon it, I think, in that being stronger and more fit and more capable that way, definitely, it definitely helps. But one of the things that martial arts provides on top of that, in helping to help people develop those skills, is knowing actual practical skills to protect yourself. Just knowing that you have some techniques is incredibly empowering.
Of course.
When I grew up, and extremely different from Egypt, I'm sure. The threat of violence, and especially how women are treated in the Middle East, is, I think, different than it is in North America. But not that North America is perfect either. There's certainly issues that happen, especially towards women on a daily basis, no matter where people live. However, just knowing those skills. So when I was going through, especially junior high, I noticed it, and in high school, I didn't start martial arts or my martial arts training until I started university. So I was, I think, about 20 years old. Several years older than that now, but going through those school age years, I didn't have any of those skill sets. I didn't know how to fight or protect myself, and I didn't have the confidence in myself either. And I did end up getting bullied and having experiences like that, and physical encounters and getting beat up. And it was not a good feeling. And
I know exactly what you mean, because I remember when I was a child, maybe I was 5, 6, 7. I was really young at the time. And in countries like Egypt, where it's highly populated, you can easily get sexually assaulted or physically assaulted in the streets. And I remember that happened to me when I was a child, and I was frightened. And I didn't even have, the courage to tell my parents what happened, but it was in the streets. And I can still remember it, even though I was that young, because it wasn't a nice feeling as well. But that has, playing martial arts at the age of 13, and then when I grew up to be a teenager, and then it gave me more confidence that I knew specific moves that if I'm ever as a teenager or as an adult, if I'm put in that situation again, I would be able to defend myself. I would be able to at least, push back or punch or react in some way. So it has benefited me a lot, even though it was for a short period. And as a woman, it did, teach me a specific skill, and it gave me some kind of confidence that I still carry up until now, above 50.
yeah, well, it's definitely apparent that you do, but I guess that's maybe one of the, I don't know if I would call it a misconception, but there's certainly a belief that I think a lot of people have, is that, well, once you get your black belt, you're just amazing and you are you can deal with any situation. And there's no guarantees, no matter what skill level you have or how talented. There's some amazing, incredible athletes in the martial arts world. And I've been doing martial arts for many years, like over 30 years, and just because of that doesn't guarantee success. It doesn't guarantee that I'm not going to get hurt or injured. And to be honest, ever since I've studied martial arts, I have not had physical encounters or threatening situations with people, in that I use martial arts every single day, and it's how I talk to people. Right now, you and I are having a conversation. We're looking in each other's eyes and having the confidence to just do that one thing, that one little thing, to look another person in the eyes. And on top of that, if you know some things that you could do to protect yourself, and who knows, you have no idea if it's going to work. You have no idea what they might do. But you know something and believe in yourself. That belief, I think, is incredibly important. And that's part of the empowerment.
I had to use some of the skills when I was, old in one situation, and I didn't think that I was that strong.
Well, that's one of the things I think a lot of people don't realize their capabilities. And, part of the Tough Monkey tagline, you're tougher than you think. Like, people are, especially women, stronger than they realize. And even from a biomechanical standpoint, there are certain things that I like to incorporate in my training to help people leverage more what they have from a capability. Like someone who's small and tiny and, they don't have a lot of weight behind them necessarily. You don't have to be big, like children, teenagers. You don't have to be a massive bodybuilder to be able to generate a lot of force with your techniques and help them to be more effective. And the other thing, I guess, I'm trying to be political about this because, there's a lot of fitness programs out there and they're teaching, various things from cardio kickboxing and things like that. And from an exercise standpoint, fabulous. It can help people get into better shape and even help develop their confidence. I'm looking to take it more further than that, I guess, from actual practical skills on, how to form a proper fist, how to perform a proper strike or technique to protect yourself. It's important because knowing, how to do things as opposed to, all right, we're just going to throw some punches out there. It can help in developing confidence, most definitely. And I think they're good that way. And from a fitness and strength standpoint, fantastic. I just want to take it a little bit further and from a technical standpoint and really give people a bit more value on the techniques that they're learning or using with my programs so that they know how effective that they can be. And so that is one of the things for me that I wish I had, and one of the things that empowers me from a martial arts instructor, helping children, adults, women like yourself, develop skills that they can utilize, that they know they have I consider them like tools in your toolbox.
Exactly.
Right?
I think that even, Canada is perceived to be, a safe place, and I never felt, unsafe wherever I'm going. But I think it's very important to remember that, one can never be too careful. And, it's important to familiarize yourself with some simple self-defense techniques, learning the new skills, new basic self-defense techniques such as, blocking, striking, escaping. It can help you to put yourself in dangerous situations that might, come up out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, it's even easier than that. It's a mindset thing too.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Just the one thing that I mentioned with the eyes and making eye contact, that's one thing, especially from a predator's standpoint that they look for. If you're not making eye contact and you look shy and defenseless, what do predators attack in the wild? They attack the slow, the old, the frail, the weak. And even if you may not necessarily be the strongest, but if you look like you are less of a victim, that's one thing. But it's also situational awareness. So it's not.
If you know the basic, the basic self-defense, moves, this look can give you more confidence, in front of your opponent.
That too, most definitely. But it's just the mindset, right? And it's from I guess thinking about things slightly differently. And I don't mean in such a way that people are walking around paranoid all the time. You have to live. You can't be walking around thinking like someone's going to jump out around the corner everywhere you go. But it's recognizing those situations or scenarios that you might put yourself in, and just even considering the fact that, okay, well, it's night, it's dark in the evening, and I'm working late. I'm the last person here in the office. My car's out in the parking lot or in a parkade, and okay, now I'm going to be walking to my vehicle. Or you're coming home late whether you live in your apartment or in your neighborhood. You're out for a jog. I've seen so many people wearing headphones or AirPods and things like that as they're out on a run. It's fantastic. I've done it too, but it's just little things like that. You're taking away one of your big senses and warning signs for potential problems. If you can't hear what's coming, then that puts you at a huge disadvantage. So it's just thinking about things a little bit differently and where you position yourself and just looking around. You're going for a walk and someone's coming down the road, and you're not just focused on what you're doing, whether you're going for just a walk to clear your head or you're out for a jog or whatever the case, you're walking your dog. It doesn't matter. You see somebody, okay, maybe you don't recognize them, they're new to you or wherever you are, and giving them a glance, and especially as they get closer, and looking them in the eye. If they're coming up behind you, turning around and acknowledging them and letting them know that you see them and looking in their eye. These little things, and if they make you feel uncomfortable, especially if you're in your apartment building, you're getting ready to get into an elevator, or you're walking up the stairs and there's somebody, a new face you've never seen before, and suddenly something goes off, spidey senses, your intuition, your gut, whatever is telling you,
But
and
listen,
yeah.
let me just draw your attention to something culturally
Okay.
related, because like a lot of newcomers, they come from places where it's culturally inappropriate to look at people in the eyes, especially women.
Yes.
Women are always told to walk around and look at the road where you're walking or whatever. Don't look people in the eyes. It's not appropriate. So one thing that I do, when I deal with a lot of newcomers all the time, I always tell them, it's very important to familiarize yourself with the area where you're living, know the layout of your home and familiarize yourself, with the laws and customs in place as well. I always tell them that it's okay to, speak with people, ask questions, pay attention to your surrounding, avoid walking alone in unfamiliar or dark places. So it's one of the things that I always advise people, like you need to be aware, of where you're going, who's around you. It's okay to look at people in the eyes. So
I'm curious, as an empowerment trainer, because that's a fantastic point. I hadn't thought of from a cultural standpoint. So, and it's unfortunate. It
Yes.
really is. But when you've lived that long, for 20, 30, who knows, 40 years, maybe you are new to North America, and how do you help women, especially because that's where your forte is, empowering women? How do you help them to change that habit of when they're encountering people, especially I'm guessing especially men? I'm sure it's not as an issue if they're encountering another woman. That is, I think, one of those cultural issues from some countries, in that and I don't aspire to that or agree with that myself. How do you help women change those habits? Because it's got to be incredibly challenging. It's something that's ingrained in them from a child, and they're even in North America, there are things that women are taught as they're raised, or girls, to young women, to ladies, to women. That
definitely, it's not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
It takes time. Any change, especially in habits that you grow up with, anything changes with time. So I never give up. I always, whenever there is an opportunity, I always, speak about the certain habits that need to be changed because you are in a different context here.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, with martial arts, one of the things in learning these skills is muscle memory. You're training the body and the brain and the nervous system and how to respond. It's, repeatedly. The more you do a certain technique or skill, it becomes a reflex.
Exactly.
And you just do it more naturally. So I'm guessing some of the training that you might do is just practicing And anytime a woman encounters a man in a social setting, it probably is going to take a conscious effort and thought to, okay, I'm looking at the floor. I'm going to meet this man's eyes. I'm going to look in their eyes. And I think I guess this is where obviously martial arts comes back too, but having that confidence. And I mean, if you're also getting healthier, health and wellness, let's dive into that a little bit too from a mental health standpoint, but getting stronger and fitter, that type of thing. It helps with your energy. It helps with your mood.
Exactly.
You feel better about yourself. I mean, maybe
you keep your body strong and fit. I mean, it increases your mobility, your balance, your flexibility. It has a lot of, good things that that improves, your mental health.
Well, it's one of the things that I'm specializing in regards to martial arts is really helping beginners and people who are new to working out or getting more fit. I've heard, I don't know how many times in speaking to people over the years and running martial arts schools, in that, I'm just out of shape. I can't do that. And I've really taken that to heart, especially more recently, in that, it always used to kind of frustrate me. Well, that's the whole point of getting into something, is to help get more fit. But I think their concerns are valid. I heard someone recently that really kind of helped to shift my mindset a little bit, in that what I think a lot of fitness professionals, and I'm not sure about martial arts or martial artists in their thoughts in regards to it, but certain techniques and getting strong, it's challenging. If you haven't worked out for, maybe you've never done physical exercise and you've lived a sedentary life, and how do you, okay, I'm gonna get
maybe people are hesitant to go and attend classes. This is why I think online can be more convenient for some of these people who are hesitant. You can start at home. You can start in your own space where you feel comfortable. It's more accessible than in-person classes. All you need is some internet connection, so it can be motivating from this way, that it's no one is judging you.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I also have shifted a little bit of my mindset, and I'm actually developing a beginner program specifically for on demand. And because I think some of the challenges and issues for folks, even from home, like having a virtual conversation, perhaps there's some folks that maybe aren't necessarily comfortable being even in a group setting with video, or, I mean, you can turn your video off and still take part in the lessons that I offer, but just getting some base confidence in themselves through a course, watch, some videos, and having the opportunity to reach out and ask questions and that sort of thing, and develop a base, start from somewhere. And that is one of the programs that I'm really excited about developing and offering folks from a real beginner. So they don't have any experience in martial arts. Maybe they've always been interested in it. They don't want to just get in shape. They want to learn some things as well in the process to protect themselves, and maybe have a little bit of fun at the same time. Martial arts can be incredibly fun. I try to have as much fun as I can with the participants and my members and students. I like to goof around. I'm a little weird sometimes, as you probably know, but I think that's important. That's, I guess, the monkey aspect of things, having fun and laughing, and you're going to make mistakes, and I laugh at myself. I make a ton of mistakes. So giving people the confidence to dive in with no judgment, no one's watching them. they're doing it on their own, short, workouts, and step by step guiding them to gradually, slowly increase their strength and flexibility without, even looking at reducing the impact. And, well, I mean, aside from the no contact aspect of things that I teach, even from a contact standpoint, because it is a very different mindset than for me personally, and how I like to work out and the things that I like to do, and how I like to push myself. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and someone who has not that experience in exercise or fitness or even martial arts, you can still do this. I had a conversation last week with a young guy, a young father, and it was kind of disappointing to hear him say that, well, it's too late for me, to learn martial arts. And I'm sure he maybe was feeling a bit uncomfortable with his fitness level, that sort of thing. And I think maybe from a mental health standpoint, people may be embarrassed in where they're at and where they would like to be. And so I want to make it easier. I want to make it more accessible. You can do this. You are tougher than you think. And it truly is. Like, I love that phrase, and it means a lot in a lot of different ways, mentally, physically, and helping people gradually build up.
I fully agree with you.
I mean, even just doing a push-up. One push-up. Oh, that's easy. Not for some people. What if you have mobility issues? If you have health-related issues that haven't allowed you to do some of the, the range of motion you mentioned at one point, like with flexibility, you have to start somewhere. And what are your limitations, and how do you work with them and make incremental steps and improvements? You can do this. And you start from where you're at, not from where I'm at. So my wife and I are actually going to work together on this program, and it's going to be great. There's going to be show people an easy way to get into it, and have several options for this. Is like using the thing, and without a lot of equipment or needing to go buy exercise equipment. I mean, it'd be great if you have at least a yoga mat, or most people have a chair in their home. They can be very useful things in helping with your balance. How about just sitting down and trying some of the things if you get winded, or there's different ways to progress into some of the body weight exercises that for people who haven't done exercise in a long time, it's going to be challenging. So let's make it super easy and go from there, and you will get to where you'd like to be, but you have to start somewhere, right? So
that's why I think offering it as an online class is an excellent idea. It would be very convenient for people. You come back after a busy day, and you just relax and focus and forget about all the noise all day. And it's at your own convenience, in your own place. You don't have to exert any extra effort.
That's what you just mentioned there is something that I haven't thought about in a while. And that is not thinking about anything else. Because when I teach, and don't get me wrong, I don't know about you, but I'm sure maybe some folks don't like to admit it, but I have my own mental health challenges that I am dealing with every day. And everybody does. Anxiety, depression, stress, ADHD, other conditions that are out there. There's so many. Everyone has something that they're dealing with in their own way. And when I teach, it's gone. I'm in another world. It's cool. It's amazing. And being able to
releases the tension, I think,
Well, all the stress just it's gone. What am I focusing on? And even doing it virtually and recording them, it may sound kind of weird, but it's actually really fun because I'm like I've taught group classes before up to 70 people in seminars, over 100. And I'm teaching to a camera at times, but the live classes, obviously, there's engagement. And that I really love. And that was something that, took me a little bit of a mental shift to consider, okay, because I love engaging with people, having like meaningful and engaging conversations like this, especially, and developing relationships in that way. And obviously, if there's no back and forth, I cannot do that necessarily.
Yeah.
So from a on-demand recorded thing, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, I think it can help people get more comfortable in getting into, and all right, maybe, all right, I'm ready. Let's do a live class. Let's try those now too. Or maybe even just helping them get the confidence to go to a martial arts school in their area, finding an instructor in a school that they're comfortable with, that they feel could provide some good value to them. I'm actually looking to develop relationships with like-minded martial arts instructors as well, to help people in North America help locate those places for them once they are comfortable to do so. But coming back to the mindset, I guess, in doing a class, and I remember this from when I was a student, as well, I'm always a student, but in taking a class and learning from someone else, they're guiding me. I'm, whatever stresses I came in with, bills or my job or my family, whatever, maybe for the first couple minutes I'm still thinking about those things, but once I'm focused on what they're saying, the coach, the instructor, they're telling me what to do. All right, I'm just going to do it. Let's go. And you start getting the blood flowing, you start moving, and you start, getting the energy as well. The music is an important aspect for me. It helps with mood. And, it's not, all right, like this, don't get me wrong, I have taught classes like that, and I'm not perfect. I've learned a lot from my mistakes, but being able to just focus on, exactly. I don't know if you've had anything in your life, or if you experienced that when you were training in martial arts on a regular basis, but just not even thinking about anything else but what you're doing in the moment and learning that technique or self-defense.
And wanting to do it right,
Yeah.
So this helps as well, that you enter your mind and you're only focused on whatever you're doing. You want to do it right. You want to do good. You want,
But it's not an intentional thing.
No, it's
like
not.
I don't go to the class like it's mindfulness, it's spiritualness.
No.
Don't get me wrong. Mindfulness is important, and I've learned a lot about that over more recent years, and it's very valuable. I love it. But I don't do those, I don't get into that mindset before the class. It just happens organically.
It happens during the class.
Yeah, I'm not going, all right, I'm really gonna focus on this class, and I'm gonna forget about all my worries and stress. No, I don't think about that at all. I still have all of that stress and all of that stuff, but as soon as I start teaching, and as soon as from a student standpoint, as soon as I start focusing on what we're doing, all of that disappears. And especially, that's one of the things I love about martial arts as well, from a learning, and I'm not trying to make it sound hard, but when you're coordinating the hand-eye coordination, using the hands, using the feet, moving the whole body, using your eyes and your breath all together, and even if you're doing, a movement with your arm, a strike or a punch or a kick, you are using muscles, many different muscles at the same time. So when you do that, it's called a complex motor skill. From a neurobiology, neuroscience standpoint, I have to throw a plug in for this guy because he's amazing. If you're a podcast listener or you enjoy the video podcast, which is what I'm looking to do with the Tough Monkey Nation podcast, Andrew Huberman with Huberman Labs, he has a podcast, and he's a neurobiologist with Stanford University. Amazing individual. He makes science relatable and understandable on so many different topics, and how the brain works together with the muscles and the nervous system. It's really got me fired up from my science background and in university and that sort of thing. I love science. All right, I'm nerding out a little bit here, But that focus, and there's another one I talk a lot about and when conversations with people. It's a book that I'm rereading. Actually, it's amazing. It's by Dr. John Rady. It's called Spark: The Revolutionary New Science of Exercising the Brain. And the book's not new.
Oh, nice.
However, it's still relevant. I'll send it to you. But it's an amazing book, and it does have a lot of topics. It actually has chapters on anxiety. There's a whole chapter dedicated to that. Depression, ADHD, attention deficit, stress. And it gets into other things too, like cognitive decline as we get old. Like, it's amazing. But it makes like exercising, and there's certain exercises, I think all exercise is good. And if you can get into using more skills, like walking with purpose is exercise, but let's be honest, like, it's very basic. Now, for some people who might not be in shape, maybe that's all they can do, and that's great. Like, get out and do it. However, from a skill standpoint, if you're not a toddler anymore, walking isn't very complicated to do. There's not a lot going on. So when you're learning a martial art, there's a lot more going on. So the same thing happens with dance. The same thing happens with skateboarding and surfing, snowboarding, things like that, where you're using a lot more different muscles. You're engaged, like your brain is firing on so many different levels, and you're exercising, so it's increasing the blood flow.
And increasing the good hormones as well, your endorphins. There is an increase in endorphins that makes you, and this is the body's, natural field. This is the good hormone. So it increases that, so you feel much better, and it decreases the body's stress hormone. So
Absolutely.
This is why after a workout, you're able to relax and cope with whatever stress more effectively. Well, stress is there all the time. But any physical activity, is good for you, especially something like martial arts, where you actually learn, specific moves and specific skills that helps you in so many different ways.
No, absolutely. Like the mood boosting, that's going to help as well, and your energy and stress.
Oh, yes.
But from I guess, enhancing the brain's cognitive power, like the neurotransmitters that are firing and being utilized and helping with your Andrew Huberman talks a lot about the dopamine levels and focus. He's amazing. I can't do any justice at the moment that to even compare to how he does. So if you get a chance, anybody watching or listening, you should really check out his stuff. He's got some amazing stuff out there on sleep, on exercising, on focus, on so many different topics.
Thank you for telling me about that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'll send you that too. I think he's got a lot of great free resources. I would love to have a conversation with him someday. I think that would be amazing. It's he's just I don't know, and he seems like a really down to earth, awesome guy, and to make science relatable and understandable. He's cool. A science guy that's cool. So, but yeah, from a mental health standpoint and dealing with all of those things, I don't know about you, but one of the most common things that I've heard, I guess there's three big ones, and then there's other ones that are kind of complementary in helping with any mental health related issue. So in helping with, there's a health and wellness crisis at the moment. One of the things that's gotten me so impassioned with doing this and really specializing in that area is, even living here in Nova Scotia, I'm sure you've heard about it or encountered it while you're working with folks in the hospitals as well. We got a doctor shortage right now. I don't have a doctor. It's
not only doctors but nurses as well.
Yeah, and I mean, people are going to the hospital emergency rooms, and these are
God, we can speak
brutal
about
stories.
This issue for hours.
I know. I don't want to dive too deep into it, but people are dying in the emergency rooms, and it kills me to hear stories like that. So one of the things that it makes me think is like, all right, changing the health system, and I know some very smart people are trying to do that and trying to make it better and that sort of thing, but can I do that myself? I mean, I can help in my own way, and how I'm doing that, for me personally, is if I can avoid as much as I can using the health system, then, because right now it's kind of terrifies me. If I need to go to the hospital and I'm in bad shape, am I going to get the care that I need? I don't know anymore. Like
some people decide not to go for the long wait.
Yeah.
And it doesn't end up very nicely.
No. And
but,
I mean, it's unfortunate too, like even people calling 911 and getting paramedics to come to them. Like yeah, you're right. It is a very long conversation.
Oh yeah.
People have died waiting for help even just to come. And so
we need to wrap up this.
Yeah, now I know. But that's what I'm trying to do in regards to myself and my members. If I can, even if I can help just one person, but especially for me, if I can be healthier from a physical and mental standpoint, then I'm not going to need those resources to go, and maybe there's someone who can help me there, or maybe they can't. But if I can avoid that, I guess it's from our emergency management background. You can relate to this. It's mitigation, right? It's bordering on preparedness. So preparing my body for better health and optimizing my health in as many ways as I can. So from a mental health standpoint, what do they recommend? Therapy. See a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Medication.
And they always tell you, take a walk, try and breathe.
Exercise.
They always also suggest physical activity.
Those are the three top that I've heard so many times from various people. Not everyone's comfortable taking medication or wants to. Not everyone has access to be able to go and speak to a psychiatrist or psychologist, or necessarily even comfortable to do so, or any of the stigma that goes along with that. But you can exercise.
Oh yeah.
And I'm trying to make it easier for people. And if you can exercise in more effective ways, like martial arts, or find something that you're passionate about that can also engage the brain in more ways, there's going to be so many more benefits. So, we'll wrap this up, but we definitely have to have another conversation, part 2.
Yes, we will.
But I definitely look forward to working with you more in the future. And thank you so much for your meeting with me and the patience in helping to get this set up.
No, this was
I know
nice
there's technological issues.
You took me back to some nice memories from my childhood. Thank you so much for that.
No, well, thank you, and for even being willing to speak with me. And I'm so glad I reached out, because, I've learned so much about you. You're amazing, and you are. You are tougher than you think.
Thank you so much. I love that. I love that statement. You're tougher than you think.
But it's a belief, right? Like you.
It is, and everyone needs to, believe in that.
Empowering them to do so, and hopefully you and I can work together to help more people with that too.
Like simply look at, just reflect back on some of the things that you went through. And you're right here today, so you're definitely, tougher than you think. Absolutely.
Well, we're gonna end the show for today. But thanks again, Amani, for joining me. And
thank you, Mark. I wish you the best of luck in whatever you're doing. I love the idea, and I think it's gonna be convenient for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I hope so. And I'll also, as long as you're comfortable with it, I'll get some information from you after we're done, and I can share that in the notes as well if people want to reach out to you for some empowerment training as well. I think that would be great, and I think people would get a lot of value in working with you. Amani is amazing and a lot of fun. Thank you. Yeah, no, I think a lot of people could benefit from working with you with that too. So with that, thanks for joining us on the Tough Monkey podcast, and get out there, get some exercise. Would love to see you in a class. Check out our programs at ToughMonkey.ca, and remember, you are tougher than you think. So we'll see you all soon.
All right.
Thank you once again to Amani for joining me. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please consider subscribing to the channel on YouTube and giving us a thumbs up. Let us know any topics that you might like to hear about, or a guest you think that I should speak with. Let us know in the comments. If you'd like to be a guest or a sponsor of the podcast, send an email to connect@ToughMonkey.ca. Lastly, you can learn more about Tough Monkey Martial Arts and our programs for beginners and how we can help with your health and wellness and building confidence at ToughMonkey.ca. Until next time, remember, you are tougher than you think. See you soon. 'Cause I found my way.